Today's show is about self-love, falling in love with ourselves as a foundation to all of our relationships, changing all of our relationships from the mundane to the divine through self-love. And that is the key to all love on earth and to our capacity to love here on earth. So I want to add to, we're sort of on a crescendo, or maybe we're on the completion of a cycle that started a couple weeks ago with Moda and Cavi, who came on and began a foundation of talking about divine partnership. And then last week we did a channeling with Magdalene on this. So this week my intention is to sort of give you some practical discussion and ideas of how do we actually start with self-love and incorporating that into our lives so that we can show up in our partnerships. And I really, really would like to touch your questions and concerns today. The best way for me to do that is to open it up for callers. So begin now. You may call in through the Skype number or the number on the homepage of Co-Creator Network. And just call in with your comments or questions, because whatever you're thinking, there's 30 other people out there thinking the same thing in a various form. And when you bring that forward to me, I can really address some things and know exactly what people are finding as obstacles to really living in this space. So I really appreciate any calls in today. Don't worry about interrupting me, because you will just be waiting in line until we're ready. So just give it a call and let it flow in the background while you receive the information I'm here to share with you. So let me just start with the topic of falling in love with myself. And it's something that maybe we don't think about enough. And I actually got that title a couple summers ago. I was on a beautiful ocean we were on a boat. We were doing one of those dolphin sighting tours, and it was such a beautiful day, and the mist was in my face and the ocean was so blue. I was with my children and I was just so filled with love, and I felt it overtake me. And that love, that falling in love with Creator, falling in love with myself, with Creator in myself, that expansion of opening my heart, not necessarily to another soul, but just to divine love itself, and feeling that complete connection between me and Creator, me and the universe, and expanding that out and letting it just ripple over the ocean. I felt completely filled. And in that space, I was not looking to another person to fill my needs. And this is what we're talking about. We are talking about the fact that all of our relationships are reflections of ourself and our love for ourselves and for Creator. And because Creator is in everyone, is everyone, when we bring into our life, no matter whether it's a romantic partner or with our children, with our friends, the people that we draw near to us are reflecting for us those areas that we love and don't love within ourselves. So when somebody is triggering us, when we're looking around and saying, geez, everybody around me is bugging me. They keep doing this and this and this to me. Well, guess what? You are the common denominator. So because we are a one, because we love Source and Source loves us and we are Source, we automatically create in our lives the relationships that will reflect for us those areas that we have not remembered our love. And so the people then begin to do behaviors, to present behaviors that we actually have not been able to look within ourselves. So what happens is the more we turn inward, the more we use everything in life as a way of turning inward and exploring more and loving and nurturing ourselves, the more we are able to draw to us partners, friends, colleagues that are representing that same divine love, that love themselves and can show up and reflect love through a more evolved and beautiful, gentle way, because everything is love. Every single thing that occurs to us in love. even those behaviors that we don't like, are reflections of love, because love is all that is. So the more we turn inward and we make a conscious choice to love and nurture and fill ourselves so that we feel whole, the more we are able to attract into our life relationships and partnerships that reflect love in the way that we have learned to love ourselves, and that we are now loving other people. Because the way we treat ourselves, believe it or not, is the way we treat other people. So I have this one exercise, and it's probably not going to fully work here today, because if you guys all go and run to the mirror to do this, then you're going to miss the show, and we don't want that. But what I like you to do is, when you get a chance, and it's going to be a little bit superficial just because I'm going to give you the whole exercise right at once, but just allow yourself to be aware or think it through, because you've looked in the mirror 1,000 times, so you do know how you react to it. So when you look in a mirror, what do? Do you see your what you consider flaws first? Do you look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I don't like that ear. Oh, my hair is messy. Oh, I wish my eyes didn't look like that." Or do you look in the mirror and notice the things that you love? Oh my goodness, the color of my eyes is beautiful. Oh, I like the way my lips are looking today. Oh, my hair looks beautiful today. So, what is it that you first notice? The things that you like about yourself, or the things that you don't like about yourself? There's a couple reasons I want you to look at that. One, because if we're going to a mirror and we even can't even look at ourselves physically and think that we're a beautiful expression of God, then that's what we're radiating out to the world. And how can we expect somebody else to think we're beautiful? And now, of course, with the mirror, we're talking physical, but I am talking much deeper. And in truth, the mirror reflects not only the physical reflection of us, but what we perceive ourselves. Because somebody looking in that same mirror at the same person will perceive it differently, because they will look at different parts of it. They will see it. They will interpret it different. So a mirror is actually a way for us to understand how we love ourselves, how we interpret ourselves. And because everyone else is a mirror to us, it's a really good exercise in understanding what we're presenting to the world, but also what we're looking for in the mirror. So if we go into the mirror and the first thing we see are our flaws, guess what? Chances are, when a loved one is standing in front of you, you are more likely to be looking for their flaws than their beauty. And that's something we need to take responsibility for and to be aware of, because we get to choose how the world is presented to us by the way that we perceive the world. And when we perceive the beauty, beauty will be reflected back to us. We will reflect back that beauty to the other person, and that will be enhanced. So the foundation then is, how do we perceive ourselves, and therefore how do we perceive the world? Now, our society has not been very supportive of loving ourselves. If you think about your childhood, when somebody says to you, oh, to a little child, oh, did you know you're so beautiful? And the child says, yes. What do people do? They start to giggle. Oh, you shouldn't say that. Oh, don't be vain. Well, it's our natural birthright to be beautiful. We should know when we're good at something, and we should claim that. And knowing we're good at something, knowing what our positives are, focusing on our beauty does not reduce other people's beauty. And that's what we need to remember, because so many of us, well, we were all born knowing we were beautiful. We were all born knowing we were perfect. And then the learning began. And that learning, a various spectrum of learning, of course, occurred, but to some degree, just by being in our society, chances are we learn to reduce that beauty, or to deny that beauty, to deny our gifts, to make ourselves feel like we were less than perfect. And as we get older, even those of us who knew we were very good at something might try to be sort of humble. What is the word humble? True humbleness is to know that you are beautiful, to know that you are gifted, to know that you are a perfect reflection of God, to claim that, while also claiming that so is everybody else, and that it is our remembrance to the divine that allows us to be that expression of perfection. And so to truly be humble is to claim the beauty in ourselves, is to love ourselves so that we can love others. And we can only love others to the extent that we love ourselves. So if you're not happy in your relationships, if you would like more love in your life, the first step is to turn inward and start to love yourself. If you'd like to be nurtured, if you're with a partner and saying, he never nurtures me, she never likes to cuddle me, she doesn't bring me flowers, I want flowers. Well, buy yourself flowers. Nurture yourself. One time way back, I was teaching a class, and one of the participants came in, and she was just glowing. She had that I'm in love glowing. And everybody went around to say hello and to share. And she says, I am dating myself. I have finally learned to date myself. And that is such a perfect exercise, is to turn and treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Begin to become that partner for yourself to fulfill those things, so that then you can begin to attract that in others, that you can witness that to others, that you can give that to others. And there's so many layers of that. Again, everybody call in if you want to. I know I get on rolls, but it's easiest for me to help you if you give me feedback of what it is that you would like help with. So as we're waiting for those calls to come in, let me just go back to this. And I know I'm going to paraphrase this because this has been going back 10 years or so, but I remember Marianne Williamson, the wonderful author Marianne Williamson, either in her earlier books or her recordings and teachings, she said something to the effect of, how do you expect anyone else to want to spend a quiet evening with you, alone with you, if you don't even enjoy spending a quiet evening alone with you? And I think that is such a profound statement, because if we don't like ourselves, how can we expect other people to like us? And if we haven't done the internal review to remember how beautiful we are, if we haven't taken the time to nurture ourselves, to care for ourselves, to be that beautiful connection and vessel, then we're not going to attract people that mirror that back for us either. We're going to attract people that mirror the image of unworthiness, of maybe neglect, of abandonment, those same things that we haven't looked at inside of ourselves. And so taking those moments to nurture yourself. I'm trying to go back to the various, just little concepts that people brought up that I remember, because they were so perfectly describing that self-love. And another friend of mine, we were teaching out in California last year, and she said that she had been trying to tap into loving herself and treating herself with love and respect. And so she had created this not created, but she had tapped into this image of this little inner child, her inner child, and she named him. And she began to treat herself the way she would treat this little child. So it's simple as remembering to take snacks when she was going to be away for a long period of time, remembering to drink water. What care do we give to another person? And have we taken time to do that for ourselves first? And I know these seem like simple things, but they're life transforming, because we are only capable of loving people to the extent that we love ourselves. So sometimes people are in a relationship and they'll come to me and say, does he love me? And the answer is, he loves you as much as he's capable of loving anyone. But that isn't a lot, because he hasn't taken the time, or she hasn't taken the time, to look inward and to love herself. And we are only capable of loving others to the extent that we're able to love ourselves. Now, we're capable of acting like we're loving somebody. We're capable of treating somebody. We're capable of sacrificing our own care in order to care for someone, but that isn't love. And that isn't truly gifting the person, because if we are not taking care of ourselves in order to care for other people, I can get on a whole tangent with this, but that's actually ego. You're not helping anybody, because whatever you're doing in that state, when you're actually putting the vibration of resentment out or martyrship out, that's not the vibration of love. And in fact, you're probably slowing both of your paths down. Because if you do take care of yourself, if you do love and nurture yourself and meet your needs first, it's like that airplane, right? When you get in the airplane, what do they say? Put your mask on first, then assist the person next to you if they need help. You have to take care of yourself first in order to truly be aware of what the other person needs. And sometimes the other person needs space, and sometimes the other person needs your caring. But when you aren't in tune with yourself, you don't know that. So that isn't actually necessarily a vibration of love. What that is a need based. Well, if I do this, then maybe that person will do this. That's conditional love. And conditional love is what our society has been based on for quite some time. It's ingrained in us. And I think I probably gave this story before, but the other day when my daughter wanted to borrow something, and she's been using this, so it's in the forefront a lot for me. She feels love for me when I do something that she wants. She feels appreciation, but she's been stopping herself every time I do something that she's really wanted, and she feels overcome with that feeling. And she wants to say, I love you. But now she carries it through with, I love you unconditionally, and I like you conditionally. So the act that I just did, she as a teenager is aware that act makes her like me. It makes her feel a connection to me. It makes her feel the love, but the love is consistent no matter what I do. And that is how we want to show up for others. And in order to do that, we have to know that we are tapped in, that we are not looking outside of ourselves to experience love, to fill an emptiness, that we've tapped into the source. And from that place, we then are free now with an endless supply of love. That's what we have to remember, that when we fill ourselves up with love, we are that vessel, that holy grail, and it overflows. And the more we tap into ourselves, the more we go into those shadow places that we've been hiding from ourselves and trying to hide from others. And that's the thing too, because if we think that there's parts of ourselves that is unlovable, then we're going to put our energy in relationships on trying to hide those unlovable parts. So we're going to not show up fully. We're not going to give the other person an opportunity to fully love us if we're not showing them all of us. And we don't show them all of us if we haven't come to terms with loving all of us. So when we have shadows, and believe me, maybe believe us, believe me, just being human, you have shadows. You've lived in this world long enough that even if you came in as the purest soul, even if you've had a beautiful, gentle life, just by being on earth, you have acquired dust. And if you aren't willing to look at that dust, whether it's just tiny specks of dust or whether it feels like a pit of quicksand, believe me, it's all beautiful, but we have to look at it. We have to address it. We have to remember that the light is there. So one of the things we might do is pretend that if we don't show other people, then they'll love this figure of ourselves and they'll love what we want to perceive that we are, but we aren't actually doing the work to be that person. And some of us think that we're hiding those things even from God. Well, believe me, you aren't hiding anything from God. But the beauty is God loves every part of you. The universe loves every part of you. And when you love every part of you, you will draw to you partners that love themselves enough to feel safe loving every part of you. Because the only reason another person would feel like they don't love a part of you is because they are afraid of that part of themselves that they see in you. And I'm pausing there for a moment, because when somebody doesn't feel, or when we don't feel like we love somebody or a part of somebody, what they are reflecting is the part of ourselves that we haven't remembered we love. So I want you now to take a minute and just think about the relationships that create struggle for you. Just think about, it could be your teacher, it could be your lover, it could be your parent, it could be your brother, whoever it is. Think about somebody, a colleague, somebody, person at the grocery store, somebody that's created anxiety, irritation, frustration. And then think about that behavior that they do that creates that. And I know you're not that it's superficial to ask you to do this in this single moment, but now look at yourself and find that behavior in you. Find that reflection. It probably looks different, which is why you're thinking that you don't do that. But find that part of you, that hidden part of you that connects to that behavior or that trigger that the other person is providing. And as soon as you find it, just put your thoughts on God, Creator, whatever word you use. It's the divine love that is all. And just allow that to penetrate into that spot as you remember that you are all love, that every part of you is perfect. There may be behaviors that you would like to change, and that's perfect, and you can. And the more you know yourself, the more you love yourself, the more in control of those behaviors you will be, because you will always be reflecting love. Whether it's fierce love or gentle love, you will always reflect love. But just make this week or today your time. 2 assignments for you all. I have 2 assignments. Don't you love it? You come to the radio show thinking you'll just listen and be the observer. And here I am asking you to participate by taking it into your life and making it a part of your life. So I'd like you to do that mirror exercise, even if it's only in your mind or in a meditation. Observe how you perceive yourself and see then how that affects how you perceive others. And be honest with yourself, because you're only lying to a part of yourself. There is a part of yourself that knows the truth, and tap into that. And it's all perfect and all beautiful. Be gentle with yourself this week. Date yourself. Nurture yourself. Treat yourself like a small child. Care for yourself. Whatever image that you need, wherever you like to show up and care for another, whether it's with children or dating or parents, elderly, whatever it is, find that aspect and treat yourself like that with that same compassion that you would treat another. And just spend this entire week in that space, treating yourself that way. And then the third thing, and intermingled with the compassion, is to be honest with yourself when somebody triggers you and go inward and see what part of you is unhealed. Not unhealed, but doesn't remember the healing. What part of you are you still trying to hide that in some way expresses that emotion or that behavior, that reflection? And as soon as you do, have compassion and let it fill with love again.